Once upon a time, a single empire controlled land so vast that the sun never truly set on it. Its ships crossed every ocean. Its language spread across continents, and its flag flew over cities separated by thousands of miles. From the crowded streets of India to the sugar plantations of the Caribbean, from African deserts to distant Pacific islands, one small island nation shaped the modern world more than any other. This is the dramatic, complicated, and controversial story of the British Empire. The largest empire in human history at its height in the early 20th century. The British Empire ruled nearly a quarter of the Earth's land and governed hundreds of millions of people. But this empire did not appear overnight, and it did not collapse quietly. Its rise was driven by ambition, trade, and innovation. Its rule was marked by power, resistance, and exploitation. And its fall reshaped the world we live in today. In the late 1400s, England was not a global power. It was small, divided, and overshadowed by giants like Spain, Portugal, and France. While other European nations dominated exploration and trade, England arrived late to the race. But England had one powerful advantage. The sea, surrounded by water, the nation became deeply skilled in shipbuilding and navigation. As Europeans searched for new trade routes to Asia, English sailors joined the hunt for spices, silk, and gold. This was not about conquest at first. It was about profit, because whoever controlled trade controlled wealth, and wealth meant power. A major turning point came in 1588, when England defeated the Spanish Armada. This victory proved that England could challenge Europe's strongest empire at sea. Confidence grew, ambition grew, and soon England began to look beyond its shores. In 1600, England created an organization that would change history. The East India Company. It began as a trading company, but it quickly became something far more powerful. It had its own ships, its own army, and the authority to wage war and negotiate treaties. Just 7 years later, England established its first permanent colony in North America, Jamestown. It struggled, nearly failed, and lost many lives, but it survived. Over the next decades, English settlements spread across North America, the Caribbean, and parts of Africa. Life in these early colonies was harsh. Disease, starvation, and conflict were constant threats. Indigenous populations were displaced, often violently. But when colonies succeeded, the rewards were massive. Sugar, tobacco, and cotton flowed into Britain, transforming its economy. Behind this wealth stood one of the darkest chapters in human history: slavery. The British Empire became deeply involved in the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly taken from their homes, transported across the Atlantic under horrific conditions, and sold into slavery in British colonies. Their labor-powered plantations and filled British ports with wealth. Cities like London, Liverpool, and Bristol flourished. Britain grew richer, stronger, and more confident. By the 1700s, Britain had become the world's leading trading nation. But empire always brings conflict. The American colonies, Britain's most valuable possession, began to resist. Heavy taxes, lack of representation, and growing resentment fueled rebellion. In 1776, the colonies declared independence. After years of war, Britain was defeated. It lost the 13 colonies, a shocking blow that could have ended the empire. Instead, Britain adapted rather than focusing on settler colonies. Britain shifted toward controlling trade routes, resources, and strategic territories. Nowhere would this strategy matter more than in India. Through the East India Company, Britain gradually took control, not with massive invasions at first, but through alliances, economic pressure, and manipulation of local rulers. Indian wealth flowed into British hands. Local industries were dismantled to protect British factories. Taxes increased, and resentment grew. In 1857, tensions exploded into a massive uprising known as the Indian Rebellion. It was widespread and fierce, but it was crushed with brutal force. Afterward, Britain ended the East India Company and took direct control of India. The British Raj had begun. India became known as the jewel in the crown of Tempai. Its most valuable possession, the 19th century marked the golden age of the British Empire. Britain led the Industrial Revolution. Its factories powered the world, and its navy dominated the seas. British influence expanded rapidly across Africa, Southeast Asia, Australia, and the Middle East. Railways, ports, schools, and legal systems were built. But these developments primarily served imperial interests. Resources were extracted, labor was exploited, and resistance was often met with violence. During the late 1800s, Africa became the focus of imperial ambition. European powers raced to claim territory in what became known as the Scramble for Africa. Borders were drawn with little regard for local cultures or histories. Britain seized massive regions, including Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa. Indigenous resistance was crushed by superior military force. By the turn of the century, the British Empire had reached unprecedented size. World War I pushed the empire to its limits. Millions of soldiers from India, Africa, and the Caribbean fought and died for Britain. When the war ended, Britain emerged victorious and even larger. New territories were added in the Middle East. By 1920, the British Empire stood at its absolute peak, the largest empire the world had ever seen. But beneath the surface, the empire was weakening. It was overstretched, expensive to maintain, and increasingly challenged. World War II would accelerate its decline. Although Britain emerged on the winning side, the cost was enormous. The economy was shattered, cities were damaged, and the myth of British invincibility was gone. Colonies that had fought for Britain now demanded freedom. India led the way, after decades of resistance. Britain granted independence to India and Pakistan in 1947. The empire's most valuable possession was gone. Across Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean, nations followed. Some transitions were peaceful, others were violent and deeply traumatic. By the 1970s, the British Empire had largely disappeared. In its place emerged the Commonwealth, a loose association of former colonies. Britain was no longer an empire. It was a nation redefining itself in a post-imperial world. Yet the legacy of the British Empire remains everywhere. English is a global language. Legal systems, borders, governments, and institutions across the world still reflect British rule. So do unresolved conflicts, economic inequalities, and historical wounds. For some, the empire represents modernization and global connection. For others, it represents exploitation, suffering, and loss. Both perspectives exist, and both are true. From a small island to a global superpower, and from dominance to decline, the story of the British Empire is more than history. It is a lesson about power, how it rises, how it spreads, and how it eventually fades. The empire may be gone, but its impact continues to shape the world we live in today.